Yo, what's good? I'm back with another video. Today video we are reacting to getting divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh. If you guys enjoy these reactions, please leave a like on the video as well as comment any other reactions y'all would like me to do, as well as subscribe. Subscribe. What are y'all doing? Just subscribe. Dang. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this video.
A few nights ago on stream, I watched a little bit of a video called I Got Divorced Over Yu-Gi-Oh! And I went into it, like lollipop and spinny hat, thinking it was going to be like good, silly fun. Like I thought it was like an exaggeratory title where he was telling a story about how his wife walked in like Seto Kaiba and ripped his blue eyes, and then he said, "Enough is enough. We'll play a shadow game to decide the fate of our marriage," and then they divorced or something. But the reality is, it's a very honest and open look at an unhealthy relationship, and it's one that I went back and finished the video for and have been thinking about since. So in a nutshell, this guy had a YouTube channel that was dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was actually paying his bills through the content he was making. So it's not like this was a hobby that was destructive to him. He wasn't going out on the streets and selling his butt for Yu-Gi-Oh! Briefcases of cards. Like, he was making a living through Yu-Gi-Oh! And his YouTube channel, but his wife didn't really like it. She didn't have any respect for it, and it basically boiled down to he married, like, his #1 hater. And she eventually wore him down enough to the point where he did abandon the hobby and his YouTube channel, because she just thought it was kind of cringe, I guess. Like, I'm not saying in every healthy relationship your partner has to, get into whatever hobby you're into, but at the very least, the bare minimum is being understanding and supportive of it.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying she had to go out there and get a tier 0 deck or learn how to pendulum summon so she could start banishing assholes to the Shadow Realm. But maybe don't be constantly spitting and shitting on your husband for something that he's clearly passionate about and something that is actively making him money.
Money, exactly.
I got divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh!
I need to say this. Let me just say it straight out the way. I am no longer married, and I'm divorced.
More time for Yu-Gi-Oh! You can grind.
You gonna turn it
YCS pretty soon, I think. Can't remember when the next YCS is, but you got so much time now.
When I met this woman, and I told her about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, she hated it. She didn't like it. She said that, hey, you could do something better with your life. You should go back to school.
All right, I hate that. Man, just let someone have hobbies.
Right.
Like, who cares? It's not hurting anyone. Not hurting you.
You hate the fact that he enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh! Let the man enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! He can have hobbies, bro. Bro, women just be...
It's nerdy, sure. Who cares? It's a hobby. I bet you had stupid hobbies, too. Everyone does.
I said, you know what? Maybe she's right. And you know what I did? I sold all my equipment.
Why?
I sold my YouTube channel.
Whoa.
I sold all my camera stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it's time for me to do something better with my life. Not knowing that at that time, what I had was very special. At that time, something that I chose to do, YouTube, I gave it up because someone said, hey, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. You got to do something better with your life.
There are times where someone's hobby is detrimental to them, whether it's financially draining or mentally draining. Like, that is a problem, and that's where you'd come in and say, like, hey, maybe it's time we look for something else, try a different path.
Yeah, it is a time, but my guy was making money off of it. Like, his hobby was a beneficial hobby. He was making... That's like me being a gamer and making money off of gaming, but my girl telling me to stop gaming. But I'm paying the bills by gaming. They just don't make sense.
Move on to something else. But that's not the case here. This guy had a channel, and his YouTube and Yu-Gi-Oh! Hobby were helping sustain him and pay bills. So her coming in there, fee-fi-fo-fumming around, marching up to him, saying, like, you gotta move on, makes no fucking sense. Like, that's so stupid. Just basically saying it's time to grow up. This is a children's card game. We don't do this as adults. It's time you be a real man, a real adult, and start doing crypto scams. Like, it's just silly.
And she's no longer here. And this problem persists. She told me at that time, hey, you want to meet my mother? You need a car. Because I didn't have a car at the time. I was doing YouTube. I was working from home. I didn't need to drive anywhere.
Chasing the dream.
Yes, YouTube is what I did for a living. Mm-hmm. How I paid my bills. And I was street performing also. How did I street perform? I just catch the bus 20 minutes down the street, played my horn, went home. I never needed a car. Mm-hmm. Even though I explained to her, this is what I chose to do.
Why did she even come into your life then? It sounds like she didn't respect your hobby. She didn't respect your drive, your passion, or anything. Why the fuck was she even here? Just to completely change you?
That's what I was about to say. Like, you got with her knowing that she didn't like what you did. Why did you even pursue her? Like, if you have a passion about something and the person that you're with don't support you, there should be no reason you should be with them at all. You might have been doing it for the looks or something. You was bored, something. But you shouldn't let a person come in your life changing your whole directory, especially since you was making money off of it. Like, that was your job. You had no reason to let this girl come in and change your career. That's crazy work.
That's sad. There's definitely a limit too. Like, if you're obsessed with a hobby and it's actually a detriment on your life, which it doesn't sound like it was for him, then I can understand someone coming in and be like, all right, look, maybe we need to reevaluate this. You know, maybe, collecting fucking, I don't know, jelly beans and putting all your money into antique jelly beans is, taking its toll. Maybe we should look at other things so you can get out of the house. You can start, finding something else. I get it. But it doesn't sound like it was to that point here. This is just sad. I imagine the channel was generating income. He just said he was paying his bills through YouTube.
Yeah, he was paying
and street performing. So he was making money. He was perfectly sustaining himself. At least that's the impression I get. She was probably embarrassed to tell her friends what he does for a living. Well, then don't be with him. If you're embarrassed of your significant other, why are you with them in the first place?
Exactly.
That's on you. If you don't respect them, don't be with them. It's bad for both you and the partner. I feel like this probably happens a lot, although I've only seen it happen to one of my friends once, where he got with a girl that just really didn't like anything about him. Well, what are you doing there? Why are you choosing to be with this person if the goal is to change everything about them, to turn them into a blank canvas for you to paint on? That this doesn't make sense. Find someone that's more compatible with the things you like at that point. Like in this case, she comes in and she just doesn't like any of it. You're going to flush Yu-Gi-Oh down the shitter. You're going to go back to school. Honestly, it sounds like a mom that's trying to discipline their kid. Like, all right, no more Xbox. We're unplugging the Xbox and you're going to go to school twice as much now. Somehow. We're going to find extra school for you to go to. It's just so fucking toxic. This guy was doing just fine. He was providing for himself through his passion, through his ambition, his hobbies. But it didn't fit what she thought was acceptable.
And it's not even just her fault, though. It's his fault, too, because why, as a man, why are you allowing that to happen? You're making money from this. You enjoy it. You're literally making money to do something that you love. And you let this girl come in your life and alter all of that. Why? That just don't make sense.
So she goes in there and tries to force him to do all of it, and unfortunately succeeds, where he does abandon his hobbies and his passion for her, for this relationship. And that just shouldn't have been a sacrifice that he was forced to make for the sake of the relationship. He didn't need to tribute summon his hobby in order to get his wife's appreciation for what she believes is an acceptable idea for an adult hobby. It was making money, it was paying his bills, and it's something he loved doing. Why change that? There's really no good argument I can think of for it. Sounds like she just hated Yu-Gi-Oh! She must have been more of a Digimon gal.
So, she hated those cards. She literally cried because of those cards. And people say, hey, priorities, man. It's your wife, or, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You tell me your wife was crying about Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards?
No, for real.
But
your
wife? I'll be back at that point where I'm giving up things that I like, things that's a part of my life, for someone else to feel happy. And I feel miserable in the process.
Exactly.
I love that. I miss that. Why can't she come along with my journey instead of scrutinizing me? And then that's money gone from me. It's not about the money, but that was money gone from me.
That was his career. Man, what a disaster. What a shame. Imagine your Yu-Gi-Oh passion being so epic it makes your wife cry.
It's not just money gone from you. It's your career, your passion, your love gone from you. It's more to it than just money. It's way more to it than just money. It's something that you wanted to do. It was your career. It's something that I can see you have 104,000 subscribers. That's not easy to get. Like, you should not have let that girl do that to you, bro. And you look dumb just even talking in this video right now.
My husband has mastered the shadow games. Damn! Fuck! I'd want nothing more than my partner loving their job, man. I'd cry tears of joy. I imagine that's how it works in most healthy relationships, brother. I feel like it's kind of important to have, like, respect. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's kind of basic. He triggered her trap card of divorce. Now, another thing I was thinking about when I went back and watched the whole video is that there is a time where a hobby becomes too consuming, where it starts straining the relationship. Like, maybe he was always fiddling around with those Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you know, by candlelight in like a dark room, and, you know, scratching at his neck for more Yu-Gi-Oh cards and ignoring his wife and letting the relationship start to crumble around him because it's always Yu-Gi-Oh all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't think that was, the case, here.
Exactly.
And you'll see why I think that in a moment, the more he explains about how it got to that point. And it's not all about Yu-Gi-Oh! He does talk about how a big part of his life has always been music and street performing, and even that wasn't acceptable to her or her parents, really.
I met the parents. They asked me, hey, what do you do for a living? I had to tell them I am a musician. I couldn't tell them I was a street musician. I am a musician. Then they said, hey, you have a degree? I said, I don't have a degree. My ex-wife parents did not speak to me for 2 years.
Oh my God.
And told her not to marry me because I don't have a degree.
That's fucking brutal, and to me, it blows my little noodle because this guy was doing so fine on his own. He was paying all of his bills. He was living just fine with the money he was making through Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube content. And
bro, you don't need a degree. Like, I have a degree, but you don't need a degree. The man had a career in YouTube, doing what he loved. He loved music. He could have did so much with his career, but this girl and her parents pretty much said, "We don't want you because you don't have a degree." Crazy.
Street performing music, and he'll talk about it in a moment. He was making enough money where he could provide for both himself and his wife through those passions. Yet, they wanted him to just burn it all to the ground, fucking salt the earth, so he could restart with what they think is acceptable, which was going back to school to get a degree and getting a 9-to-5 job. Both things that he did do. Well, he got the 9-to-5 job and attempted school, but school wasn't working out super well for him. But he did everything for that relationship to try and make her happy and be like an acceptable partner in his ex-wife's parents' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I give up this YouTube thing. I give up my entrepreneurial thing. I try to do something that's not innately a part of my strengths at all because I'm thinking I'm in love to do something for somebody to prove something. So when we got married and we moved out to Baltimore to somewhere else that I didn't want to be, she said, hey, how come you're not paying the bills? And I was like, what?
I ain't got no money.
I have a job. I have a 9-to-5 job. I don't make enough from this 9-to-5 job to pay all these bills. Before then, I could street performing in YouTube. I made enough money off of that to pay the bills. Now I'm working 9-to-5 all day long, and that's not a complaint because there are people who do that. But I had something that most people wish they had.
Exactly.
He's right. He had the dream job. He literally had the wet dream most people wish they had, which is their hobby, their passion, being able to sustain them. so they don't have to do something that makes them miserable just to survive. And he says, like, he gave all of that up for her and this relationship, and that new shiny 9-to-5 that he got, all to please his wife, because she believed that that was the only real way to grow up and, you know, move on from Yu-Gi-Oh and street performing music. Well, that 9-to-5 couldn't pay the bills for both of them. And that's the unfortunate reality of where America is right now. Exactly. I've talked about this a lot. The normal salary you make at like a 9-to-5, you can't fucking live off of that in like a 2-person household. That just, it's impossible. Things are way too expensive, especially in certain locations. It's just not happening. It's an absolute shame. It's a fucking crime. I'm not going to just rant about that. I've done that plenty on stream. He had a job that could do that. Like, he had a job people kill over. And she just didn't like it. Found it cringe, I guess. Wasn't proud of his hobby and that job that was making him money.
Well, then,
forces the...
Well, then, at that moment, he should have just left. Like, he should have just left, bro. This is crazy.
Wrong word, because he mentions as well, he made the choice. He ultimately chose to get rid of all of that for her, but she was pushing him to do it, and now he's miserable with this 9-to-5, and she's not happy because that 9-to-5 isn't able to pay all of the bills.
She says, hey, you need to find a hobby. I'm like, oh, let me play Yu-Gi-Oh again. So, last December, last year, I start my channel up again. I buy my channel back from Java. Like, oh, she gave me the okay to go into a hobby. Mm-hmm. You know what she said? You're spending too much time playing those cards. She says, why are you into those cards so much? I said, hey, I need to make a video about something.
After selling everything and starting over, he does eventually get back into Yu-Gi-Oh to a certain extent.
I was about to say, why don't he just start his YouTube channel back up and just do what he was doing before? But, I mean, of course, it's not that easy. But, yeah.
Up the hobby again, but his wife still just hates that the hobby he picked up was Yu-Gi-Oh and YouTube. So he goes on to say how she just really didn't like it. That's when he gets into saying how she would, like, actually cry over Yu-Gi-Oh. And that's where I was saying, like, if it was completely consuming his whole life, where he was ignoring her and everything in the relationship was starting to just dwindle because he was too preoccupied with Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd understand it. But from what I'm seeing and, like, going back to his channel, it doesn't seem like that was really the case. Mm-mm. He was talking about how, since he'd been away from the game for an extended period of time, he needed to relearn it. He needed to catch up on all the new things with Yu-Gi-Oh! So he could make content around it. So he'd be able to be knowledgeable on it, which is perfectly understandable, I'd say. And it doesn't seem like he took it to an excessive degree. It's his passion, it's his hobby, it's what he wanted to do, and it's what he was doing, so he wanted to get back to it. He recognized just how much of a gift being able to do that and make money off of it was, and he wanted that back. So he was getting back into the hobby. She still really hated it. One thing led to another, and now they're no longer together. And it seems like the big reason is because of Yu-Gi-Oh! The deeper issue is that she had absolutely no respect for his passion, and she wasn't supportive and seemed like was embarrassed of him. So it's two people that should have never been together.
Exactly. She was just a bad woman for him, like, respectfully. I don't even know the girl, but she just wasn't a good fit for him. He shouldn't even have gotten with her. You shouldn't have changed your life for her. Like, bro, just lock in. Grind, people. Lock in and grind, bro. Leave these girls alone, bro. Leave these girls alone, bro.
In the first place. He gave up everything he loved to try and make her happy, but she was never really happy with the man that he actually is. So it's just very incompatible, and they tried to make it work, and it didn't work. And both people, I think, were not happy as a result of the relationship. Hopefully going forward, they both find better partners. Hopefully this guy's starting over on his YouTube channel. Luckily he was able to buy it back. Hopefully he is able to find that success that he once had. And yeah, just kind of wanted to talk about it because I just found it to be one of the more honest videos I've seen on the platform about a subject like this. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah.
Alright guys, that's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like. Leave down in the comments any other videos y'all would like me to react to. And last but not least, subscribe. Subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100. We at 42. We almost there. I'll see you on the next one.